everybody. My name is David Little, Swami Monamurti Saraswati, and tonight I'm going to present week 4 of the lecture series that we're doing. On the title of tonight's talk is called The Multidimensional Brain, and the title of the series is called The Ascension Formula. So that's the actual 12-week series. The title of the series is called The Ascension Formula, and there's actually 13 lectures. So in the final week there'll be 2 lectures, and the final one will be on the Ascension Formula. So tonight's on the multidimensional brain, but before I get started, I'd like to go through 6 announcements that I've got for you before we commence. So tonight, we've got 6 announcements before we begin the teachings. Number 1, QEEU Advisory Division. So that's new since last week's. So there's been a lot of updates this week. There seems to be exponential, the breakthroughs we're making each week. So QEEU Advisory Division. Tonight, I formally acknowledge the updated structure of the QEEU Advisory Division. QEEU Advisory now spans 7 sectors: government, corporate, property and FM, that's facility management, energy and infrastructure, education, community and real estate, and portfolio advisory. The energy division is grounded in my original professional beginnings in 2004 within electrical infrastructure operations, risk mitigation, and WHS auditing, or in those days it was called occupational health and safety. This completes the multi-sector architecture of QEEU Advisory. So I'm only going to summarise these updates. So on my Facebook page, there's plenty of information about these updates. Number 2, founder's operational background, which is now publicly integrated. I also confirm that my 2 decades of operational leadership across regulated energy environments and 4 multinational property FM organisations is now formally integrated into QEEU's public narrative. The operational depth forms the backbone of QEEU's advisory capability and institutional architecture. 3, executive summary, which was updated and published today on Facebook. The executive summary has now been updated to reflect the full operational and institutional architecture of QEEU, including the energy division and the founder's multinational background. This version is now aligned with corporate grade capability standards and will support all upcoming public, investor and institutional communications. 4, public ready advisory division summary. A refined public ready summary of the QEEU advisory divisions has been prepared and posted today on Facebook as an announcement. So anyone can go and check that out on my public page. This version clearly articulates the 7 advisory sectors and the operational legitimacy behind them. 5, institutional momentum, April through till July activation time. QEEU remains on track for its national emergence phase from April through July. This includes the tri-faculty academic structure, the complete canon, the advisory divisions, the curriculum architecture, and the July 1 institutional milestone. 6. Tonight's teaching. Tonight's Week 4 lecture continues the Ascension Formula Series 1 and builds on the foundational architecture established in weeks 1 till 3. This teaching forms part of the long-term public archive and the institutional lineage of QEEU. So now I'm going to read through tonight's lecture. So in week 1, we established the architecture of QEEU. In week 2, we explored the Kriya Yuga philosophy. In week 3, we introduced Homo Lumina, the evolving human of this era. Tonight, we turn to the interface that makes multidimensional cognition possible, the multidimensional brain. This is the bridge between biology and consciousness, between the physical and the subtle, between the human and the luminal. 1. The brain as a multi-layer interface. The traditional view of the brain is incomplete. It is not a closed biological machine. It is an interface, a translator between dimensions. The brain receives, processes, and expresses information from the physical layer, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the intuitive layer, the causal layer, and the oversoul. Each layer has its own frequency, its own mode of perception, and its own cognitive bandwidth. The multidimensional brain model maps how these layers interact. 2. The 3 functions of the multidimensional brain. The brain performs 3 primary functions across dimensions. Reception, receiving signals from subtle layers. Translation, converting non-local information into cognition. Expression, manifesting insight into speech, action, and creativity. This is why higher cognition feels like remembering rather than thinking. The brain is translating information that already exists in higher layers. 3. Dimensional junctions and knot theory. Within the subtle body architecture, there are junction points where layers intersect. These junctions are the cognitive equivalents of the granthis in traditional yoga. Dimensional knots. When these knots are tight, perception narrows, intuition is blocked, emotional residue distorts cognition, and the mind becomes linear and fragmented. When these knots loosen, dimensional access increases, intuitive and intellectual layers synchronize, cognition becomes holographic, and the system enters the zone state. The multidimensional brain model and dimensional knot theory are 2 sides of the same architecture. 4. The brain as a receiver of non-local information. The brain does not generate consciousness, it receives it. This is why insights arrive fully formed, creativity feels like transmission, intuition bypasses logic, Memory feels holographic. The zone state feels like a higher bandwidth. The brain is a receiver, not a generator. This is the foundation of non-local cognition. 5. The role of the subtle body in brain function. The subtle body is the infrastructure that determines how well the brain can receive and translate higher dimensional information. When the channels are clear, the brain receives cleanly. Intuition becomes reliable. Emotional noise decreases. Cognition becomes multidimensional. When the channels are blocked, the brain receives distorted signals. Intuition becomes inconsistent. Emotional turbulence interferes. Cognition collapses into linearity. This is why subtle body hygiene is essential. 6. Daily practice as cognitive maintenance. Kriya and sadhana are not spiritual rituals, they are cognitive maintenance. Daily practice clears the channels, loosens the knots, stabilizes dimensional access, increases gamma coherence, and prepares the brain for higher cognition. This is why advanced practitioners can enter the zone state on demand. The system is kept clean. Just as the physical body requires daily hygiene, the subtle body requires daily clearing. 7. The zone state as a brain subtle body synchronization. The zone state is the signature of a functional multidimensional brain. In this state, hemispheric integration increases, gamma waves synchronize, subtle body channels open, intuitive and intellectual layers merge, cognition becomes fluid, rapid, and precise. This is the natural state of Homo Lumina. It is not rare, it is not accidental. It is the result of a clear, subtle body architecture. 8. The evolutionary shift in brain function. As humanity moves into the Kriya Yuga, the brain is evolving from a local processor to a multidimensional interface. This shift enables non-local perception, intuitive intelligence, causal insight, oversoul communication, and multiverse awareness. The multidimensional brain is the neurological expression of Homo Lumina. 9. Why this model matters to QEEU. The multidimensional brain model is essential because it explains how higher cognition works, why practice changes perception, how the subtle body influences the mind, why the zone state emerges, and how humans access non-local information, and how the canon can be understood experientially. It is the bridge between science and metaphysics, between the human and the luminal. Closing. Tonight, we have mapped the interface that makes multidimensional consciousness possible. The multidimensional brain is the foundation of higher cognition and the neurological expression of Homo Lumina. Next week, in week 5, we enter astral cognition, the layer of mind that emerges when the subtle body becomes clear and the dimensional knots begin to loosen. So next week will be week 5, astral cognition. Hari Om. Namaste. Thank you.